Alrighty, guys. This is it. This is our time to talk about GMT games and all of their awesomeness. If you've been on my channel anytime within the last 10 years, you notice we play a lot of GMT games. If you've been on the War Room show, you know we talk about GMT games quite a bit. I have mentioned over and over and over again that GMT is my number one war game company, without a doubt. The way they produce things, the way their quality, components, the amount of games they produce, everything about them, I tend to like. Now, there are some decisions they make which, I don't agree with. Like, for one example is not bringing out another version of Combat Commander, which was, I was told by Gene, it was coming out in 2023. I've got screenshots of him saying that. So I'm not lying and I'm not making this up. I got a screenshot of him saying 2023 it was going to be, and it's 2024, middle of 2024, and we're still. Anyways, I love GMT games. I love just about everything about GMT games. But with that said, I don't love all of their games. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tier list, rank them into, what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different categories. S, which is the best. Awesome. Everything I love about those games. Nothing wrong with them. They are the best of the best. A plus, A, B, C, D, and F. And trust me, there's going to be some F's on this list. I'm going to be open and honest with everything that I do. I've always been that way on my channel. But we are going to get into finding out exactly how I rank all my GMT games and what I think of them. I will give you some information about my familiarity with the game, because some of these games I've only played a couple times. Some of their games I've played thousands, well, I wouldn't say thousands, hundreds of times. I've played Combat Commander hundreds of times. So it depends on how familiar I am with the game, but I will let you know how many times roughly I've played the game, how often I play the game, what I think of the game, and I'm going to rank it. And again, this is subjective. This is my thoughts, my opinions. You might, you might differ in your thoughts and your opinions, and that's fine. If you do, I highly recommend you go and do your own video, and we can compare our notes and see what games you like and what games I like. Let's get to it, shall we? Oh, we can't get to it yet, because I have to do something, don't I? I have to, where is it? This one? Can I do it that way? No, that's not it at all. Let's try again. This one. There we go. All right. Well, that's a little bit better. I can't just make that a window, can I? Oh, I can't, can I? No, I can't. I can't really do that. All right. Well, anyways, let's get to the list. So first up, again, you can see S tier, A plus, A, B, C, D, and F. And some of these, there's quite a few games, as you can see. I was basically taking the information that someone had started for a GMT list, adding to it some of the games that I have that weren't on their list, so we might have to alter their list a little bit in what I have played or haven't played. Like, for example, this one right here, which is Next War Korea. I've never played that series, but I don't think there's a way for me to actually remove that out of my list, because again, this was a list started by somebody else and I just edited it. All right, so let's get to my thoughts on the GMT games and find out which games I like and which ones I don't. Number 1, Alien Abyss. Number 1 in the coin game system. I like this game. I really do. Plays great solo. It was the first game in the system. Technically, Labyrinth was the first game, but it wasn't part of the system. But Labyrinth created the coin game system, counterinsurgency. I was not familiar with Adian, that area down there and the conflicts and everything like that. So I don't have that much of a relationship with the game. I think the game plays great, plays fine. I've played it many times. I would say on the channel here, 2 or 3 times on the channel. I played it off, before I started my YouTube channel many years ago. So, I mean, it's been around. I really like this game, but again, I'm going to be really hard on a lot of games. And I'm just going to put the A's and the S's. You're going to have to be really good. I'm just going to put this as a B. Again, nothing wrong with this game at all. Highly recommend this game. B is good. C is... All right, so let's go through the classifications. All right, so this is important information. Like... C, if it's a C rank game, that means it's good, but it has some flaws. Not my favorite, but C is average. Not a bad game. I would play it. D is going to be, there are some serious flaws in this game. You really have to try to convince me to play it. F is just, this game is trash. There's nothing about this game I like. Don't bother. B, on the other hand, is above average. There's some good qualities in this game. There is, maybe it's just either the theme doesn't relate to me, or the history, or maybe some mechanics in the game just aren't fancy with me. A is really good game, like it, really enjoy it, but maybe there's something about the game that just doesn't suit it right for me. A plus is, so close to S tier, but there's one thing holding it back. If I can point to one thing, what is it? I mean, like one little thing, like one little minor thing. Is it the quality of the components? Is it the length of the game? Is it how many players it supports? Whatever. That would be that. And then obviously S tier is the best of the best. Love everything about it. It's a great game, etc., etc. So B, again, people go, oh my God, it's not an A. No, it's not an A tier for me. It's a B tier, which means it's a great game, above average. There's nothing wrong with this game, but it's just the theme of the game just doesn't, excite me too much. It plays best with 4 players. You can play it solo just fine. But again, there's no solo AI bot cards, which they've been coming out. You're going to see some of these games later in the list. So if they would do an AI solo mode for this, redo it again, which I think they're doing this one, and Cuba Libre is coming out soon. So this might go up once that happens. But right now, it's a B. Atlantic Chase. Atlantic Chase, my friends. Now, I don't have much experience with this game. I've never played it myself. I've actually played this with Blue Tweezers. It was a teaching game online. You can check it out on my channel, or was it on his channel? I'm not sure if it was on his channel or my channel. Probably his channel. I'm not sure. Anyways, I appreciate him teaching me the game, kind of overviewing things. I had no fun with this game whatsoever. Now, I know there are solo scenarios that maybe help this game, but my experience with it has been a D. I know that Rough Swordsman is already throwing tomatoes at his screen, saying that's BS, because it's one of his all-time favorite games of all time. I hope Rough is not watching. I agree, because he is going to be very mad. But again, for me... what I'll do here is slide this over, and let's add a camera here, shall we? Let's add our camera. There we go. So you guys can see me now. There you go. For me, personally, I did not have any fun playing this game. Again, if I sat down and went through the solo game, if I played it maybe multiplayer again, it might change things. But for the time that I played it, I did not have any fun. I think there's a lot of things broken in this game. And I'm going to move that up a little bit so that way you guys can see the Facebook page and the email address in case you need it. So, Atlantic Chase? No. Barracks Emperor. This is an interesting one. I've actually played this 2 or 3 times solo only on my channel right here. This is basically a surprise hit for me. I think this game is really good. It's a card. I want to say it's like a Euro card game, but it's not. It's kind of a war game. It does have a solo mode. I played it solo fine. I think it would be great if you had several players to play it. I love the fact that GMT made the cards square like like their old, 500 BC or 500 AD or whatever. I don't know. But they just have that older look to them. It's a very simple game to understand. It is, in my opinion, a sleeper hit for a lot of people out there. If people would play this game more, I think they would really like it. I'm actually going to put this in A tier. Now, everywhere I put games, at the end, I'm going to make sure I'm going to adjust things up and down, and we'll see. So right now, I'm going to put it in A. It might fall back. We'll see. Battle Line. Oh, my God. I played this game probably 200 times. There was a guy, Tony, from Cabs. He would try to get me to play this every time, 2 or 3 times a games session. I, in fact, had to finally tell him I'm not playing it anymore because we were playing it so much. It was the first game I ever played at Cabs when I made my first mission, my first time I went to Cabs. Tony came up to me and said, "Hey, I got a game if you want to play it." And then this is what I played. So it's very familiar with it. It is basically you're playing cards on the table into one of different, there's like a center row, and you're trying to take the center row, and I think it's the first player that either takes 3 of the center thing or 4 of the center things or 3 in a row. So if you can get 3 in a row, he was so good at this game. I think it's just, I'm just going to put it as C. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just nothing fancy. It's just take a thing in the middle. So maybe it'll go to B. I don't know. We'll see. Command and Color Ancients. I hate to do this because Command and Color Ancients for me is probably one of the top 20 games of all time. It's definitely going to go to S tier. It is a all-time classic. It's simple. It's easy to learn, easy to teach. Lots of strategy, lots of scenarios. There's so many good things about Command and Color Ancients. I could go on and on about it. It's a great introductory game to get people to play war games and teach them war games. You understand some of the war game mechanics. You understand how some things work with terrain, supporting, morale, all that stuff that you're going to learn if you're starting to do, starting to get into war games. So if you want an easy to understand, easy to play game, Command and Color Ancients, all-time classic, and it's going to be followed up by Combat Commander. Again, if you've been on my channel for any time, you know Combat Commander for me is my #1 war game of all time, no doubt. The only thing that keeps Combat Commander from being one of the top 3 games ever in the history of board games is that it doesn't have a solo mode. Right now, there's no official solo mode. I made a solo mode for it. Other people are working on solo modes. If there was a solo mode and you can play Combat Commander by yourself, you might never see me again ever. You might never, ever, and that might be a good thing, right? Now, Command Commander Pacific, you would think it would be an automatic S. It's not. It's not for me. I did not enjoy the Pacific as much as I liked the European theater. Because it changes a little bit of the rules with you have kamikaze bonsai charges. Japan has these weird mechanisms that they use with underground movement and tunnels and stuff like that. It's a little bit extra work to get through the Pacific. If you love that theater and that hide and seek cat and mouse type game, you might really like Combat Commander Pacific. For me, I like more of the European theater, so I didn't enjoy this one as much. Still a great game. It's an A. I'm not even going to put this in A+. I'm going to put it as an A. There you go. Churchill. Churchill. What are we going to do about Churchill? I've played Churchill several times on my channel, and I think we even got together and played it online with somebody. Several people. Was it Tony, me, and Ruff playing it? I'm not sure. I'm never going to see. It's one of these things. I played it several times, though. It also plays great solo. You can play it great solo. There's a solo bot that works great with it. It's basically Churchill, Stalin, and Roosevelt. Is that who it is? The three of them debating about what to do after World War II is over and how everything is going to get split up and who's going to be in charge of what, this, that, and the other thing. And you're basically going to these different conferences, trying to take over the conference, not take over, but kind of being, doing the best debate at the conference to give your country an up above everyone else. It does have this neat mechanic where if everyone, Churchill, Stalin, or Roosevelt, if any one of them get too far ahead of the others, then everyone loses. So you're trying to not knock the other guys down. You're just trying to give your country just a slight bump above the other ones, and then right at the end, take it, which is historically what happened. It's a neat, really neat game. I think the only issue that I have with it is it tends, for me, it tends to overstay its welcome a little bit longer than I would have liked it. Now, there is a shorter scenario and a longer scenario. I tend to play the shorter scenario, but it's still too long for me. And mostly that's because I'm playing solo and I'm having to run every one. If I was playing with two other people and myself, it's probably going to be an A game, but just solo, I'm going to put it as a B tier game. Cuba Libre. This is number 2 or 3 in the coin series. I'm not sure. Cuba Libre. Let's see. Does it tell us anywhere? Volume. Oh, I can't read it because it's too damn small. Volume 2. Yeah, see, I knew it was one of the early ones. I wasn't 100% sure. It's Volume 2. 80 and Abyss, then Cuba Libre. The cool thing about Cuba Libre is it comes with a smaller, easier to manage, less complex game than all the other coin systems. So it's kind of the intro to coin. If you're learning or want to learn the coin system, you want to play an easier, smaller, more manageable game. Cuba Libre is your one for you. I love Cuba Libre. I've played it many times on the channel. It plays solo great. Again, I think there's an AI bot coming for this. I'm giving it an A. It might drop down, but for now we'll give it an A. Colonial Twilight. This is the coin system that has Algiers and Algeria, and just because of that, it's getting a C. And if you haven't been around the channel, you don't know what I'm talking about. It's It is. It's a two-player one. Coin. It's what I mean with that is it's a coin game. It's the fourth or no, the fifth one is Fire in the Lake. So I think it's the one that came out just after Fire in the Lake. I think it's. Let's see. Is it number 6? Colonial Twilight. It is 5, 6, 7. It's 7. Okay, so I was very close. Number 7 in the coin system, but this is only 2 players and 2 players only. It's basically, it's a war game that they changed and put into coin, and it doesn't really fit, to be honest. Coin, for me, is 4 factions going at it. This is 2 factions, so you can play with just 2 people, which is the nice thing. But it also takes away a lot of the interaction with the multiple factions going at it. So for me, it's a C game. It's right in the middle. It's fine. It's just, yeah, there's just nothing special about it. Dominant Species. Wow, what do we do about Dominant Species? All right. So this is a great game. Awesome design. Doesn't play well solo, but I've played this game maybe in my career 5 to 6, 7 times, somewhere in there. Not too often, but I've played it enough. But it's been a long time since I played it because it's a beast. It's a great game. It's a great game if you play with a couple people that know what they're doing. If you got to sit down and teach people and have people learn the game as you're playing, it really slows the game down. If you sit down with 3 or 4 people and they all know how to play, it's an A game for sure. A+. It's an A+ game. But if you're playing with 1 or 2 people that don't know how to play, and you got to teach them and they don't know what they're doing or how to do things, I'm going to put this as a B tier. Marine. I've not officially played the Marine edition, so I'm not going to comment on that. And then, of course, we have another copy of that. Again, I had started using somebody else's GMT list, so and I don't know how to delete. So is there a way to delete options out of the list? Otherwise, we're just going to go on without it. Fire in the Lake. This is coin number 5. This is the monster game, Monster one. This is the most complex. In fact, there is 2 or 3 expansions for it. It's so big. It's so mammoth. Which, if you like really complex mammoth games and you want to throw everything in there, you can have yourself a hoot and time with this one. For me, it is a great classic design. The box art on this is just spot on awesome. It is, for me, I play it without the expansions, and even though I bought both the expansions, but this is the first game that they went back and added the AI cards and the AI charts and everything. So kudos to GMT for that, because it's one of their classic games. And I'm going to say A, but I'm going to put this at B for now. We might move it up to A. We'll think about it. Gandhi. This is number 10 or 11. Is it 10 or 11 in the coin system? A lot of coin games all of a sudden in the list. Let's see, Gandhi. This is number IX, so I guess that would be 9. All right, number 9 in the in the coin system. I played this several times. Me and Tony even started playing this one night. It is another of the great coin game systems, but it is a part of history I don't know anything about. I don't have any thoughts about this part of history. I don't have any desire to learn about this part of history. I don't know anything about it. I appreciate it. I'm not saying anything negative about it. I'm just saying I don't know anything about it. So the theme of this game just doesn't resonate with me. The only reason I bought it was because it's coin, and I want to have all the coin games. So I'm going to put it as a C. I don't know much about it. I've played it a couple of times. It's fine. It's so fine that I play it and I'm having a good time, and then I put it away because I'm done with it. It's just one of those. It's great. Don't get me wrong. Again, I'm ranking these on how I feel about them and the theme and everything, mechanics, production, everything about it. For me, the theme just doesn't sink me in. Okay. Labyrinth. This is the first coin game that was before coin came out, so it's not part of the coin system. It's by Vocal Renke, and it's what started the coin system. People love Labyrinth. I am one of the people that really enjoy Labyrinth. I have the 2010 expansion. I have the 2015 expansion. Thanks to Mike Butterjelly, actually, who helped me get the 2010 expansion because it's hard, out of print, hard to get. He was able to get it for me, so I appreciate him getting that. And I haven't actually played it with the 2010 or 2015 expansion because it adds a bunch of stuff. How do I feel about this one? I love it. It plays a lot better solo because it's a 2-player one. And I think it was half designed to be solo. Although out of the box, without any of the expansions, you can only play the US solo mode. If you wanted to play the Taliban solo, you have to have one of the 2 expansions. I forget which one it is. Anyways, so out of the box, you don't get all of the bells and whistles. It is a longer game. There is a little cat and mouse because the Taliban is putting down the WMD, weapons of mass destruction, face down on different regions. And as the other player is trying to prevent them from going off, but you don't know if they're bluffing or if they're real or whatever. So there's a lot of cat and mouse in this. I'm going to say it's either B or C. I am going to say B. It's probably a B or A. I'm thinking it's probably a high B, low A. I'm going to go with high B. So next is Maneuver. I played Maneuver with Tyler many years ago. Loved it. I just repicked it up, played it solo here on my channel. You can still find copies of it. In fact, I found a copy of Maneuver in the expansion Distant Lands, I think is what it was called. And I was just at Buckeye Game Fest just a couple weeks ago, and I saw Jeff Hoger, and I actually told him, hey, great job, I love Maneuver. He said, oh, thanks. And I said, I also like Grand Prix and Thunder Alley or whatever it's called. He's like, oh, thanks a lot. So, so I got to meet Jeff, the designer. Great guy. He was a cabbie for a long, long time. I remember Thunder Alley when it was a black and white poster board and him drawing on it. I remember him bringing it to Cavs as a poster board. So I was way ahead of the time, and anyways, we're not talking about the game. We're talking about Maneuver. Maneuver! It is basically chess with Napoleonic factions that each have their own deck of cards, which is cool. And each of them are different, just slightly, And the whole mechanism is you play a card, whatever card you play, that is the unit that you can activate. Each unit only has so many cards in the deck, so once you activate that unit 3 or 4 times, it's done. You've gone through the deck, it's over. The game is over. So you have to really fine-tune. It's basically an area management. Whoever has the most area on their opponent's side of the board is victorious. There is random setup of the different faction boards. Great game. Underrated. I wish more people would get this game. And play it. A. It's an A game. It's an A game. It's definitely an A game. I think if they reprinted Maneuver, this game would be a lot more popular. This is a game I think it came out in 2016, 2018, or 2006. When did Maneuver come out? Let's look. Let's look at Board Game Geek and maybe it'll tell me. I'm not sure when it came out, but it's been out of print for the longest time. OEUVRE, Maneuver. 2008. Yeah, I knew it was a long time ago. So it's been out for a long time. GMT has only printed it one time, ever. Just one time. It's never been reprinted. It was on the P500 reprint list, but nobody signed up for it, which is a damn shame. So the copies that are out there, all the copies that are made, which is a damn shame. Again, hidden gem out there. I highly recommend, if you can find a copy, which you can. There's still copies floating around. Get it. All right, let's move on. Mr. President. Okay, again, these ones here, the first one, two. You know what? Let's do it like this. I'm going to move the ones to the bottom that we're not going to be doing, so that way they're not in the list anymore. Ivanhoe, I've never played that, so I'm not going to say anything about it. Manifest Destiny, I don't recall that, so let's stay here. Let's move down Netski, because I haven't played that one. What is this one? I probably never played that. I never played this. I'm just going to sort through the list here. Elmaravid, I've never played. All right. Oops, this one I've never played. All right, so that should put all the ones that we played at the top. Mr. President. I appreciate the design of this game. I appreciate that it's a solo game. I appreciate that it came in a 4 or 5 inch box and how many things you got to do in this game. But this game, for me, just is too much. It's just too much. It's just too much. For me, the theme, I thought the theme would grab me. Like, ooh, you're going to run the country and you're going to make decisions. And you do. I thought that was going to be very interesting, but for me, it is just going to be probably a high, I'm going to say high C. We might move that up to B. We'll see how things go. All right, Pazagori. Everyone out there, raise your hand if you've ever heard me talk about Pazagori. Anyone out there ever hear me talk about this game? This was my number 1 game of all time until it was passed by Combat Commander. It is the number 3 war game listed on Board Game Geek of all time. It's a classic design. If you haven't played Pazagori, you should play Pazagori. It's one of the greatest games ever in existence. I would never say no to anyone that wanted to play Pazagori. The only problem with Pazagori is it is a long game. You're talking 8 to 10 rounds at 7 cards per round per player. So you're doing 14 cards, and you're doing that 7 times. So it's a long war. It's a long war. So although this should be an S tier, I'm gonna put it at A+. I'm being honest. I love this game, but I just cannot give it an S tier because it's just too long a game. It doesn't play great solo. There's a couple things that knock it down on an S tier. I'm sorry. I hate it. I hate doing that. Space Core. It's a great little game. I love Space Core. I want to pick this up for myself. We played it online with the 4 of us, and we had a great time. I had a great time playing it. I won. I dominated the game. So that's maybe why I like it. But it does have an expansion for it, and I need to pick these up and try them out. I don't currently own that game, and maybe I should. So I'm going to put this in B tier. What is this game? Talon? Let's put that at the bottom of the list because I haven't played that. Oh, the British Way. Ha. So this is the new coin game. This is the small footprint, real tiny coin games. There's 4 mini games in one box. You basically get 4 miniature scenarios, basically, of what it is. It's the British scenario, and there's 4 different times in history. The Brits are causing problems, as usual. And you get to play through those scenarios. I'm not a big fan of this, to be honest. I'm not a big fan of this. There's many reasons I can get into, but I won't. I think it kind of dumbs down a game system that I don't think needs dumbed down. They're trying to make a game system. This is where part of the problem where design people thinking, right? Coin was designed a specific way, and it's really popular because people love it. And then somebody out there gets a bright idea. We should change that system to be this, and people are going to love it. And no, nobody loves it because they love what it was, not what you change it into. Stop doing that. And it's not GMT I'm talking about. There's many game companies out there that take a game that's successful and they think they can put a fresh coat of paint on it and change it into something else and people are going to love it. And it doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. You keep what you have the way it is and you make that successful, not try to change it into something else. That's my little rant for you. With all that said, British Way is a fine game. There's nothing wrong with it. It plays fine. The scenarios are fine. I found them very unbalanced. The scenario I played was over after 2 turns because I either lost really bad or beat the AI very bad. So I'm going to give it a C. I'm just not a fan of trying to jam in small package game, put 4 in there so that way we can make it seem like it's a big box game. It's not a big box game. It's not. Twilight Struggle, probably the number 2 war game of all time according to Board Game Geek. Is it a war game? Is it not a war game? That's a discussion for another day. My discussion is how great is Twilight Struggle as a game? It's awesome. It's absolutely a great design. It's going to be S tier. You know it's going to be S tier. It has all the elements of being S tier. Great production, great quality, interesting decisions, tough decisions, card play, dice rolling, screw your opponent, outfox your opponent. There's all of those management in the one little tiny Twilight Struggle game. The only thing that keeps this from being in my top 20 of all time is the fact that it's a little bit long for my taste. And again, solo, it's a little hard to play solo because you know what the other player's going to do. So if there was a solo bot for it, now obviously there's an app you can play against the computer every 5 minutes. You can play a new game against the computer, so that takes that problem away. But if you're playing the board game, you got 2 people, you want to sit down and play a really good game, Twilight Struggle is S tier for sure. Now we go right into that to Twilight Struggle Horn of Africa, the new. And I just got done ranting and raving about you got a great game and then you go and you make it a different game and you think people are going to love it. Same thing with this, right? Exact same thing. Oh, Twilight Struggle, great game, great system, S tier, all the great bells and whistles. We're just going to make it in a smaller package and people are going to love it. Again, no. It's Twilight Struggle Horn of Africa is a great game. It's just you've taken the essence of Twilight Struggle away because Twilight Struggle is great because you're struggling over multiple regions and you have the hidden information, you have all of the intrigue that's going on. The Horn of Africa, you've now only have like 4 locations on the map you're fighting over. It just doesn't have that epicness to it anymore. It's still a great game, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying it's not the same game. It's not an S. You can't just say, oh, it's an S tier because Twilight Struggle's an S tier. No, it's not. It's a B. Low B in this case. For me, it's a low B. VJ Anagara. The newest coin game. This is a 3-player one. Me, Tony, and Ruff played this. We didn't get to finish it. I think it's very interesting, some of the ideas that they incorporate into it. Again, initial impression, again, because we didn't even complete one full session of it. So I'm going to say, just ballpark, I'm going to say it's a B tier. Possibly A tier. I like some of the decisions it's going to. It's a full-fledged coin game. But, again, that history doesn't thrill me. So, it's just not... If I had a chance to play this and I played other games, I would probably play the other games. So, it's just going to be a B tier for me. Wilderness War, I haven't played this in 20 years, and I've only played it once, so I'm not gonna rate that one. Beneath the Med is let's move this down at the bottom. We don't need that up there anymore. Do we have the Hunters on here anywhere? I don't see the Hunters on here. Beneath the Med. So let's add in. The cool thing is you can just quickly add in, boom, look at that. Now I got the Hunters in there. So let's talk about the Hunters because I'm not gonna rank this one. It's the same game as this one, the Hunters, and obviously it's not gonna be an F. I'm gonna say A+. This is one of these games, we just talked about it yesterday on the War Room show, that gives you a strong narrative. You relate to your crew. You relate to your captain. You feel the missions you're going on. Yes, it's chart driven and you need to, have that mind's eye of what's going on. But it's a great, simple game of sub-combat. You got to make decisions. Oh, man, there is a nice ship. There's a couple oiler tankers out there I can go, but they are being escorted. Is it worth the risk? These are the decisions these captains had to make, and they're tough. And you have to think about it. Do I want to? And you can get in that death loop where the escort is depth charging you and you try to escape, and it's trying to depth charge you and you're trying to escape, and you're trying to depth charge you and you're trying to escape, and you can't get out of that loop because it keeps damaging you, knocking out different systems and flooding until finally you're dead. And then you're like, gosh darn it, I shouldn't have went after those ships. So anyways, it's definitely A+ tier. Just out of S tier for me because I think well, obviously I think it only plays, you can play maybe two, is it two people? I'm not sure if you can play two people. Can you play two people or is it solo only? I wouldn't play it two people. So you have to kind of play it solo. And again, it's chart driven. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just you have to accept that and understand what you're getting yourself into. So for me, it's A+, not quite S, just A+. Let's move on. Commensaria. I am not going to talk about that one either. It's been probably 25 years since I played that one, maybe even longer. Liberty or Death. I haven't actually played that one yet. Tony was supposed to get with me, so I'm going to move that to the bottom. Here we go. What do we got? Skies Above Britain. A. I was going to put it in an A+, but it's a great game. But it's just, I don't know. I like the programmed instruction, and it teaches you how to play it. There's just, it seems like, I don't know. It's just too much hand-holding for the players. And not enough decisions they need to make it any higher than A. It's still a great game. Don't get me wrong. It's absolutely one of the greatest games ever. It's just, I wish there was more decisions to make. Sometimes you just get in this cycle where no matter what you do, you're going to make the same decision over and over and over again. And that kind of, it's kind of boring. That can be kind of boring. So that's why it's no higher than A. Thunder Alley. I actually have not played Thunder Alley. For the people, the new reprinted 25th edition. Let's go. Let's go. I can't wait to try this. It's been out of print. Well, all right, it's been out of print for a long time. You can pick up old copies, but for like $80 to $100, it wasn't worth it. When I knew the new edition was coming out in 2024. So it's been a couple years. I haven't played this game for a while, but it's a classic. It's another one of these longer games, card driven, doesn't play super great solo, but it basically simulates the whole Civil War, and it's A to A+. A to A+. We're going to go A+. It's almost S, but just for me, it's not. It's not A+. It's just, I guess the length of the game knocks it down just a little bit. Just a little bit out of S tier. If it was a little bit easier to manage, maybe. And some of the decisions, again, some of the core decisions just aren't as interesting as I think they could have been. Could have been. All right, here it is, Banished to Snakes. I told you guys when we started this, there's going to be games in every category. So far, we've got plenty in S, plenty in A+, plenty in A, plenty in B, which I think we're going to have quite a group in B. A bunch in C, 1D, and now we got our first F. This, for me, is the worst game design that GMT has produced that I can see right on the list for multiple reasons. When you force the players into a situation that they cannot get out of, that is not good game design. There are cards that are being added to the deck when you do things based upon a track, and no matter what you do, those tracks go down and those cards are coming in. So it feels like it doesn't matter what I do, they're going to happen. And then the other problem is the result of this card is going to be based upon the next card that you flip up and its tier of card. And so you could have the best outcome on this card, and then the next card flips up and it's like it has no effect, and you're like, great, then I get the best outcome. Or the next card can flip up and it can be totally screw you over, and you have no control over that. So you're basically playing a game where all you're doing is flipping the cards over and having the game run. That's not a game. That's just, you are basically just playing the computer X and O's out. It's terrible game design. I've done a review not a review, but I've talked about this when I played Banished to Snakes. My copy's for sale. If anyone out there wants to buy it, just contact me at the email address down below. I will be more than happy to send it to you for a reasonable price. Great components, great quality. It's just this game should never have been a game. And I'm ashamed that GMT put it out. I hate to say that, but it's true. Asian Engulfed. I just repicked this up. I played this several times many years ago. It's been a while, so I'm just going off of memory and playing it before. Had a really good time. It is the sister game to Europe Engulfed. Again, I love the Pacific. I love the Pacific theater. But for me, this game just loses something to the Europe Engulfed. I'm going to give this a C. I'm going to give that one a C. I hate to say it. Ardennes 44, part of the Mark Simonich 40X series of games. This one I don't currently own, and Ardennes 44, because I'm waiting on the reprint to come out. I'd probably get 2 copies because GMT loves sending me 2 copies of a game I double order for some reason. Ardennes 44, I'm going to make that a... I love the Battle of the Bulge. I love the Battle of the Bulge. I love the Battle of the Bulge. I'm going to say it's a B. A high B, low A. I think it's a great game. It's just it seems like the bulge part for the Germans is a little too easy to bulge. You're bulging a little too easily when you know what you're doing, I think. Ancient Civilizations of the Middle East. Yeah, this game is A+, and I know a lot of people are going to snicker at that. I think it's, first of all, it's great game design. This is the antithesis of Banish the Snakes, because you've taken a simple concept of, here is your money, which is also your military units, which is also the way you expand out in the universe, which is also the way you activate all your special abilities on your wonders or your gods or whatever, and you have to preciously use these every time you make a decision. You have to decide, what am I going to do with these little pieces, and how am I going to do it? It is an underrated game system. I think a lot of people are poo-pooing this because of the simplicity of it, and they haven't given it a shot. I've given it a shot. I love it. There's solo scenarios. No, there's not just one solo scenario. There's like 3 or 4 in the box. There's 2-player games, 3-player games, 4-player games, 5-player games, 6-player games. There are ways to set up your own scenarios. There is a lot of content in this box. Normally, I would give this game an A, right? I'm giving it an A+ because of the amount of effort and time and dedication these guys put into this game. I've seen too many times you order games out there and you get like 1 or 2 scenarios and you have to decide, especially as those poor solo players out there. We got to decide, oh, here's one scenario. We get to play this one scenario over and over and over again. No, in Ancient Civilizations in the Middle East, there's 3, 4, 5, 6, I don't even know. There's a bunch of solo scenarios in the manual with different setups, different rules. I mean, they are fleshed out. They are actual, not just thrown in their scenarios. And you got to give the designers and the developers credit for that. You know, normally I would give this an A, but because of the amount of content and quality that they put into this game, it's going to be A+. A+. And it's my list. If you don't like it, too bad. A Distant Plane. What is going on? Ultra Fanboy, how you doing? A Distant Plane. This is number 4 on the coin system, I believe. It's either 3 or 4. This is the U.S. involvement with the Taliban in Afghanistan. So it does have that history. It does have that relation. I lived through that part of history. I can relate to the cards. I understand what's going on. This coin game is very interesting because you have the warlords of Afghanistan who's trying to get paid by the U.S. or by the Taliban, and then you have the Taliban who's fighting the U.S. so they can try to do things. There's area of the map, only area of the map that they can go to. Nobody else can go to. And then you have the U.S., and then you have the coalition. Those two need to work together to try and take care of the Taliban, but they're also trying to do their own thing, which means how well these two get along may or may not determine how things go. Great game. I'm putting it as an A. Great game. Another one of the coin games. Yes, I've got all the coin games. I played all the coin games. You're going to see all the coin games on the list. The only one I haven't played is Liberty or Death. Once I play Liberty or Death, I played all the coin games. I've only played this once. It does have a nice... It has a nice war element to it. If you are a war gamer, you feel like this is important. But again, this is a part of history I know nothing about. This is the Finnish Civil War after World War One. I can't even remember what is it. The Finns. Oh, let's see. Oh, it is the. Yes, the Red Revolt and White Guard in Finland from 1917 to 1918. It's World War One Finland, which I know absolutely zero about. So I have no, and it's how the country tries to develop, but they also have the Germans there and the Russians that are trying to influence them at the same time. It's a weird game. The theme doesn't really resonate with me because I have no relation with it. We're going to put in this C tier. There's nothing wrong with the game. It's just, it's a weirdo in the coin system. Again, it's only 3 players. You do have military units, and some of the card the way the cards do things. And the story behind the cards, I have no idea. So it just doesn't resonate as much as like a Distant Plain because I haven't lived through this part of history and I don't know anything about Finn. I'm not Finnish. If I was Finnish, maybe I would know something about this and care about it. So maybe this would be a lot higher on the list. I don't know. Here we go. Ancient civilizations of the Ancient civilizations of the, what is this one called? Inner Sea. I couldn't think of the name. Inner Sea. Same thing. A+ tier. It's just a different portion of the, it's basically a lot of the same as Ancient Civilizations of the Middle East. But it's just slightly a different map. Again, tons of scenarios. You are dealing with wonders in this game as opposed to gods, which is the Middle East. In Middle East, your country or your faction takes on a god, and you get that special ability from that god. In the Inner Sea version, you're building wonders, which you need to secure in your borders, and then each of the wonders give you special ability that you can activate. There's not too much different between these games. Again, tons and tons of scenarios, different player counts, solo, 2-player, 3-player, 4-player, 5-player, 6-player, tons of different scenarios, how to set up your own scenario. There is a solo mode built into this game with a little chart and everything you can use. So, all the effort they put into these 2 games, awesome. So, I'm putting them as A+. Thank you for your effort. Thank you. Absolutely. 1960. Making of the President. Oh my gosh, I played this game in my life probably about 25 times. I played this when it first came out, in the original GMT box. It's a classic. I still like to pull it out every election day and play it. And it plays great. It's, I think, like GMT's first kind of Euro game with little cubes and cards and stuff. And it is I'm going to put it as a B tier. I'm going to put it as B. I would say it is, it's a little bit longer game. It is a longer game to play. So it's about 2 hours, 2 to 3 hour game. It does have a solo mode now with the CGG solo system. It plays great. It's just a little bit long, and yeah, I just think it's a B. Victory. Airbreads to Victory. I'm going to put that at the bottom of the list. I'm not going to talk about that one. Hercules down at the bottom. Grand Prix. I played Grand Prix. I played Grand Prix several times on the channel. I still think, and I don't know this because I haven't played Thunder Alley, but I still think Grand Prix is an awesome, awesome game and probably better than Thunder Alley. I hear Thunder Alley is better because of some of the mechanics, but I still think Grand Prix is a great game. It's obviously, I played it solo. I played 4 different. You basically take a team, and that team has so many, I think it's like 2 cars. And I played 4 different teams in a race. And then the rest of the cars are AIs, and I think it played awesome. It is a longer game, even though you're only doing a couple laps. The game design is solid. Great fun. They just released an expansion at the end of 2023 that released some new tracks for it. And you can use the tracks they released for Thunder Alley as well. So I'm going to give this a nice B rating. Probably high B, low A. Let's move it up to A. We're going to give it a low A. It might come down again at the end of the game. We do all the reviews. At the end, then we're going to reevaluate and push a few around up or down. So, we already did this one. We don't need to do that again. This is down here as well. Okay, we got Fighting Formations. Fighting Formations. Great mechanisms for a game system. Easy to learn, easy to play, hard to master, hard to get out and think about what you're going to do. I just think, for my taste, it's a little bit too... it's too crunchy for what you can do with it. It seems like it takes some of that extra chrome on it. Like I say, I've been saying this for years. Sometimes more is not more. Sometimes more is less. And for me, this is one of those games that more is less. I'm going to put it in a C. I still think it's a solid game. Really good structure. Really interesting. I've only played it a couple times. Maybe if I got used to it more, I would understand it more. Maybe it would flow better for me. And maybe it would go higher on the list. Again, this list is based upon my experience with the game. The more you experience the game, the more you understand it, the more easier it is, the more you can delve into the design of the game and not worry about the mechanics of the game. So this is another one of those ones, if maybe I got to play it more, it would probably go up. Of all the games that we've talked about so far, Fighting Formations would probably go up on the list if I played it more. It would probably be the number 1 game so far on my list. Fields of Fire. Boy, we have a love-hate relationship with this one. I really want to play. I want to like this. I've got this. I've got the expansion, the Bulge expansion for it. I keep putting it on my table. I keep trying to learn it. I keep trying to play it. And I just can't. I just cannot play it. There's mechanisms in this game they don't teach you. And I realize they're redoing it. And I realize they're re-releasing it. But I am voting this game on the game that was released. Not the game that's coming out. And not the updated rules that are coming out. I'm basing this on the release that this game was released. And I hate to say it, but I'm going to put this as a D. I think it is way too complex for what it's trying to do. I just think it is actually hard. Again, I never went to the military. I didn't do anything. So understand, like the first thing you do in this game is you take your little platoon and you break it down into squads. Like, that's the first thing you do in every mission because you don't move the platoon out because if something happens, it can get blown up and killed instantaneously and you lose all those men. Does it tell you anywhere in the rulebook that this is what you should do? No, it doesn't. You have to learn that the hard way. And maybe that's what they normally did, right? If that's the way, that's what they normally should have done, then the scenarios should have been set up with squads out there instead of platoons. There's many things that I can complain about this game. I'm just giving it a D. You might give it an A. That's great. Go make your own list. Thanks. Falling Sky. This is number 6 or 7 coin game. This is the Caesar and Gaul one, isn't it? I believe. Falling Skies, isn't that the one? Let's see. Before I talk about it, I should make sure I'm talking about the right one. The Galtic Revolt against Caesar. Yes, I know what I'm talking about. Of all the coin games that I played, this is the least one that I played. Because of that, it could be the greatest game, and I just don't know it. I've only played it once. I found it extremely biased towards Caesar, which I didn't appreciate at all. It's like if you're Caesar, you get all these bonuses and all these special abilities and everything that's going for you, which, historically, yes, probably should. But if you're playing any of the other factions, screw you, we don't care about you. It's like, I'm going to say C. I wasn't too impressed with the balance, the mechanisms of this one. Again, I've only played it once. I've set it up on my table and started playing it a second time, and same thing. I hit a brick wall and I'm like, I'm done. I'm done with this game. There's probably a good game in there somewhere. Not for me. Europe engulfed. Well, we know it's higher than Asian engulfed. Asian Golf got a C. We'll give this one a B. It's better, more polished. It was the original one. It came out. It's much better. It has more. I think it has more. When you're doing Asian Golf, you're basically doing Japan and U.S. So you have this tug of war struggle. When you're playing European Golf, you're talking about Axis powers and Allies powers, and you also have the Russians thrown in there. So there's a lot more interactions going on with all the different factions. You got Germany going against France, then you have Germany going against Russia. You have Britain trying to join in. You have Italy just trying to decide what they're going to do. So there's a lot more interesting ways and interesting decisions to make out of it. Devil's Horseman, it's probably been 25, 30 years ago. I played this with Tyler at Gabs. He got it. He's like, hey, let's try this game. I'm like, cool. It's a pretty complex, well, back in the day from what I remember. I hate to say much about this because, like I said, it's been a long time. It's part of the, what system is it part of? It's part of the Great Battles of History volume. Right. Volume 10. So if you're part of the Great Battles of History, if you love the Great Battles of History, then this might be a great title for you. I'm not going to say much about it because, again, I haven't played it for a long time. It was fine back in the day. Let's just give it let's give it a B. Let's give it a B. Kimo Libre, we've already done that. Samurai Battles, the reprint. Yes. Samurai Battles. How do you compare Samurai Battles when you talk about the Command and Color system? You have Ancients here at the S tier. Well, wouldn't that make all of them S tier? No, it wouldn't make all of them S tier. What Samurai does is it adds in, obviously, the Japanese battles, but it also adds in chi or whatever it's called. I forget what it's called, but it adds another resource that you can use to activate special cards, which I thought was really neat. I I really like samurai battles. Obviously, the only thing that I'm going to do is put this in either A or A+. Let's go A. Let's go A. Let's go A. I could put it in A+. I don't know. We might put it up in A+. It's a great game. I love the addition of the chi system. Honor system. You're right. Honor system. I knew it was something. Yeah, it does add some new strategy because you're using that honor to pay for special cards to get special abilities. And I love, you know me, I love my special abilities. Command and Color Medieval. Medieval. We're going to put this in A. Again, Command and Colors. Easy to learn, easy to play, great quality, lots of scenarios. I mean, I could go on and on. I sound like a broken record, right? Sound like a broken record. It is all basically about the same-ish, but each of them's got a different theme. I love medieval theme, although I don't like the countries they picked for this. Is so weird. It is, and I will tell you who it is. It is, does it tell me who it is? It says Belisarius, but that might be something different. I don't know. But the two countries that are part of this default box is a little weird. It's like, it's not France, it's not England, it's not Spain, it's not your typical, it's like some weird, two little weird countries. Like, two little weird factions. So, yeah. That's why it's an A and not an S. There you go. I knew there was a reason. We've already done this one. We've already done this one. I will do this one separately. I've done Combat Commander as an S tier. And I've done Pacific as an A. I wanted to do this one separately because, again, the difference between the Europe version and the Pacific version comes into play with the Mediterranean. Even though this is an expansion, you technically need the core European box to play this. I'm going to count this as a separate game because it's a different theater. It adds new rules and it adds new mechanics to the core game on top of it. And I still think this is going to be A tier. I like the countries they added. I like the difference. They added France. France has like a default where they can only get rid of like one card when they turn their deck in. Instead of turning all their cards in, they can only turn one at a time. They're slow to cycle through their deck because they're slow to make decisions, which makes sense if you know the history of France in World War II. They weren't the smartest on the block and making decisions, and they were always like, what are we going to do about this? So Mediterranean, great game. Great mechanics. I'm going to actually move this up into A+ tier. I love the Combat Commander. It just adds more greatness to Combat Commander with the Mediterranean countries, Italy, France. I think the partisans were added as well. It added new cool maps. A+. Let's just go with A+. Command and Color Napoleonics. Okay. So you would think, again, where's it going to be? A+, right? Somewhere in here with all the other ones? No. This is an S. This is an S. This is probably Ancients and Napoleonics are the top two, for me, Command and Color systems. Ancients and Napoleonics. And mostly because of, the rules and how it's performed, but also the amount of expansions they have. I think Napoleonics has 5 or 6 expansions to it, so it adds a ton of stuff. It has great mechanics. It feels like you're playing a game from Napoleonics, but it's using the Command and Color system, which makes things easy to play, easy to understand, easy to teach, great components, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to say the same thing over every Command & Color game, but I'm not going to. You know the drill. It's an S tier for sure. The Russian campaign. Huh. Wow. I've played this game probably about 20 times in my life, but I haven't played it in like maybe 10 or 15 years. It's been a long time. And mostly because of the space. I just got the reprint edition, and I've had it on my table several times trying to figure out if there was a way to get the map. I love this game. It's so big for my little table. I just can't get it. There's no way. It's a classic. I'm putting it as A tier. I could probably put it as A plus tier. You know what? I am going to put it as A plus. Maybe we'll reevaluate that, but we're going to put it as A plus. Plum Island Horror. Need say more. It's designed by Herman Lutman. And yes, I know it's Lutman, but it's a great design. We debuted it here on the channel. We love the game. It plays great multiplayer. It plays great solo player. Interesting decisions. Where do I rank it? I am going to rank it as... I'm going to rank it, and a lot of people are going to be surprised. A lot of people will probably think I would put it in S tier, and it probably deserves an S tier, right? It probably deserves it. But again, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm going to give it an A plus rating. I'm not going to give it A tier. I'm sorry, I'm not going to give it S tier. And the reason I'm not going to give it to S tier, again, the difference between A plus and S tier is there's one thing holding a game back from being the greatest games of all time. We've talked about all of these, what's holding them back, right? The thing that's holding the Plum Island Horror from being one of the greatest games of all time back is the fact that you only have one scenario that come in the box. Or there's basically one way to play the game. Now, I know they're working on an expansion, and it's going to fix the problem, and they're going to have different scenarios and different ways to play the game. I've been working on a scenario called Save the War Room. So someday that will be released, and you'll have a different way to play it. But the way the game was designed originally and how it was released, we have to, I'm rating the game based upon that, not what's coming in the future. It's still a great game, almost S tier, but again, the only thing that's holding it back for me is playing it the same way every time. Now, it is random setup, and you get all that. Different bridges will be broken, different monsters will be out, you'll have different factions to play with, you'll have a different random setup. So there's a lot of that. So it's not the same scenario every time, but there's only one way to play. Live through 3 days, or 1 day if you're playing a short scenario, or to live through 3 days if you're playing the full campaign, and that's it. That's the only scenario right now. I have a feeling when we do this next year, Plum Island Horror is going to be S tier, because by then there's going to be more scenarios out, etc., etc. The second thing that's keeping this down, and this is just my own personal gripe, and I hope they fix this. Come here, you. Is I don't like pulling things out of a bag. I've always hated pulling things out of a bag, so I made my own initiative cards with all the different factions. You can download those. You can download these files on the Board Game Geek for free and print these out. If you are like me and you just rather shuffle the cards up, and then that is your turn order, you flip up the card and go, okay, it's this player's turn, which is for me so much better than drawing a little token out of a bag. That is a nitpick, I admit it, but that's things that keep you from being S tier. S tier is reserved for the best of the best. All right, next, the last 100 yards. This is a game I think is really well designed. It's really good. It's a interesting concept and thought. I have not experienced this game in all of its luster. I will thoroughly admit that. I've only played it a couple times. I've had the designer Mike Denton on my channel. We interviewed him. We talked to him. He's a great guy. He definitely has his own views and thoughts on things. How realistic and how things play seems to be good, but this is such a different system. It is so unique and different than all the other tactical games out there that for me, just playing a couple times to give you like a detailed analysis is just not fair to the game. There's several expansions. I have got all the expansions. I haven't even opened them up, done anything with them, played any of these scenarios. It's got the airborne drop scenarios, which I would love to play. I just haven't got around to playing this enough that I can make a involved decision. I can give you my thoughts on what I played and what I've watched Tony and Ruff play this several times on when they played. I've not experienced, I've just watched what they've done, and I like and I hear great things, but I didn't experience it myself, so it's hard for me to say yes or no, I didn't like this or didn't. But I'm going to say there's a lot of great things under the hood that I need to explore in this game. Thoroughly admit it. I'm going to give it a B. This could probably go to A or A+. It's unknown at this point how high it can go. I need to play it more. Thunder Alley, we've talked about Thunder Alley, haven't we? Yeah, we can move that to the bottom. This is a misclick. The Bulge, great game. Fast action battle system. I thought it was going to be the next big thing since sliced bread. Both me and my buddy bought this game when it first came out. It's got wooden blocks. It also has counters. It was like the first game that had blocks and counters. And even though Ruff and Nate don't believe in games that have blocks, I do. I'm a blocky. I'm going to get a shirt that says I'm a blocky, and I'm just going to have a huge picture of a World War II counter as a block with a big smiley face on it. If somebody could design a logo like that for me and send it to me, that'd be awesome. I'd print out a shirt for sure, and on the top, I'm a blocky, because they don't believe in block games. I love block games. According to Ruff and Nate, they've never heard of a block game ever. Anyways, The Bulge, fast action battle. Again, I thought, ooh, this is going to jump in. We're going to get part of this. And then this system came out with Sicily, and then it died after that. Nothing ever happened after that for some reason. Great game. We're going to give it a B. Give it a B. It's very solid. Underrated game. Pick it up. You can get it for cheap for some reason. Nobody plays it for whatever reason. Nobody plays it. I bought it. I bought the mounted board too. I've got it. I'm going to play it. One of these days, I swear to God, I'm going to play it. Okay. Well, this is kind of I want to be honest. As I told you guys, I'm going to be honest about everything. Unfortunately, the designer of this game, Tank Duel, is currently in the chat, Mike Butterjelly. And I love Mike, and I don't want Mike to be disappointed in my thoughts and opinions of his game. Because I love Mike, and I would hate to say something negative. First of all, I would never, purposely say something negative if I didn't believe in it wholeheartedly. I think Tank Duel is a great game. It is very fun. We played it on the channel several times. In fact, we played the regular and we played the Mediterranean. We had the greatest time ever. I played it solo on my channel, and that's how I met Mike. Was he came and watched my playthrough and said, hey, he left a message. you made a few mistakes or that, blah, blah, blah. And if you're interested, I come and, teach you. And that's how we met Mike. And ever since then, we've been like this. And I love him. And I'm going to give his game a B. And I hope he's not upset about that. Again, B is above average. It's a great game. The reason it's not higher, and I'm going to tell you the reason it's not higher, and Mike will probably be the first to admit it. It doesn't play great solo. And as a solo gamer, mostly as a solo gamer for me, it's a little hard to play this game unless you have multiple friends and multiple people, right? And so for me, just because it's doesn't play solo great, it can't go into the higher tier. I love the boards, the tank boards. I love the design of the cards, and how all your actions and everything come off the cards. It makes every card pull interesting. There's ways. The reason it doesn't play good solo, so let's start there, is because there are cards that'll screw your opponent. When your opponent goes to move, you can throw them in mud, or you can do things to them. And the second thing is, again, we're talking about just the base game. Some of these things have been fixed with the Mediterranean expansion, etc. Is you're always starting at the same distance on the map away from like a center line, unless you're playing a specific scenario. So, it's a great game. I just think it's a great multiplayer. Sit down, have a fun, shoot your bunnies, blow one another up, try to complete your objectives. I highly recommend the game, and it's fun. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a B. B's are good. B's, I guess. Most of the games are going to be, as you can see, B's. It's going to be a little bit harder to get in the A and the A plus and the S, and there's still C's and D's and S below that. All right, Storm Above the Reich is, for me, it is a B. It's another B game, right? There's nothing wrong with it. It plays great. It plays fun. It's just there's nothing super special about it. That I love, like my jammy jam is World War II air combat. That is it. Like if I could show you my room, I could bring over a signed picture by German aces that were in World War II. Like this is my jam. This is the stuff that I'm interested in, right? It's just, for me, it just doesn't play out like I would envision it to play out. And for me, that's why instead of being higher on the list, they're knocked down. It's because this is my jammy jam. If you don't do my jammy jam right, then I'm going to knock you down a few pegs. Like I just don't get it with the store. Again, good games, just not great games. Good games, just not great. Above average. B is B. There again, we talked about the different levels. C is an average game. It's got some good parts. It's got some bad parts. It plays fine. I enjoy playing it. Other games surpass it, or the theme just doesn't do it for me, or whatever. B games are above average, play great. There's a couple things that knock them down from being really good. The length of the game, the theme of the game, the components of the game, or whatever knocks them down a few pegs. B is a really good game, and that's where a lot of GMT games, and that's why, as we talked about in the beginning of this, why GMT is about the only game company I order stuff from, is because most of their games are not C, D, or F. Most of their games are B and A or A+. That's where most of their games are. That's why I order from them. If Compass Games and Decision Games started making games that were B and A games, then maybe I would order more of their stuff. But they don't. So, there you go. Alright, we just did Tank Duel. We don't need to do that again. SPRQ. Alright. B. It's just a B. It's a great game. It's involved, tons of scenarios, ancient history, but it's a lot to manage. You're talking about 80 to 100 counters per side. Maybe some of the smaller scenarios are 40 to 50 counters per side, which for me is a little bit longer game than I am like to deal with. Plays fine solo because you can play both sides. There's nothing an issue with that. It's just you can't outthink or outflank yourself. You just one of the things you can't do. So it plays fine. Plays interesting battles. Tons of scenarios. Great components. It's just a little bit heavier than I would have liked, and that's probably why it's not in the A tier for me. Another one from the Reich. We're going to put that here. Which one is this? This is the Skies Above the Reich, which I don't currently own, so we can take that off of the list. I have Storm Above the Reich, which I think is 44 or 45. 44 and 45, and I think Skies Above the Reich is 43 and 44. So it's a little bit easier time. It's a better, easier game because the Allies are doing things like sending fighters up to protect their bombers. Okay, Rebel Fury. I just played this. This is like the last game that I played from GMT with my buddy, face to face. Can you believe that? I played a war game face to face with my buddy. We had a great time. So I only played it once. One scenario was the Chickamauga scenario. I won. That means the game's an A. I won. Great design. There's nothing wrong with it. No, seriously, I don't know enough about it to give much information other than it was easy to learn. My buddy taught it to me in like 10 minutes. We were playing it. We played this scenario, Chickamauga. It took us like an hour and a half. I did find the scenario rules to try and have an uninterrupted line of command from my edge to the city of Chickamauga. Totally like how in the hell am I going to be able to do that? There's no way that I was going to be able to do that. So for me, there's probably a lot of great game in there. I don't know much about it. I played it. I had a good time. I'm going to put it as B. It might go higher. Who knows if I played it again or 2 times. This is this Britain one, which we've already done. We can move that to the bottom of the list. Stalin's War. It's been 25, 30 years since I played this game. It's been a long time. It's been a long time since I played it. Tyler and I played this game. It's a card-driven game about the East Front. I thought it was going to be awesome, and it was C. It was average, as I recall. Again, I haven't played it for a long, long time. I'm hoping to pick up this game because it's one of these ones that I would like to try again now that I've grown as a gamer. I understand more now than I did 25 years ago. So I would like to try it again and give it another shot. I think that's one of those ones that I would be more than willing to do. Pursuit of Glory. You notice that where's our Paths of Glory is an A+. Pursuit of Glory. Oh, we don't need this one either. Pursuit of Glory is the offshoot to Paths of Glory that focuses in on the Serbian East Front of World War I. Which I know zero about going into this game. It is more of a zoomed in, and there is a lot of specific rules about specific counters and specific things that can happen, and it really, for me, ruined the game. I still think it's a fine game. It's a C game. But again, more is not better. More is not better. Less is better. Like when you start adding, this unit can only do this, except for on Thursday at 2 o'clock. Then it can do this other thing. This unit can't come onto the map until these 2 units have been destroyed. And these 2 units can only be destroyed when it's if you have 16 points of strength on a Wednesday afternoon. It's like, what in the frick are you trying to... I understand there was a lot of complexities going on, and I understand the designers trying to simulate that into the game, right? There's a difference between simulating a game and creating a game to simulate a battle. These are 2 completely different things that a lot of people don't understand. When you play over 2,000 games like myself, you understand that concept. You can explain that to people, and sometimes you have to smack designers upside the head and get them to realize this. All right. Pursuit of Glory. Still a great game. It's just very finicky. Very, very finicky. You know what? I'm putting it down in a D. I hate to do it. but I'm going to put it down in a D. North Africa 41. Now, I added this one. I actually own this game, but I don't recall if I've ever played it, so I'm not going to review it or talk about it. Normandy 44, I will talk about. Looks like we've covered most of these. Oh, there's a couple that we need to get to. Okay. Again, what I had done was there was already a tier list for GMT games, but it only had about 20 or 30 games. And I said, oh, hey, I can just add my own. So I went to GMT and just started highlighting all the games that I had played. And then I imported those graphics in. So it was a combination of their tier list and my tier list. So some of these games I've not played. So I'm not talking about those games. I'm only talking about the games that I have played. Normandy 44. Probably, in my opinion, like I have a huge investment in the theme of this game. Normandy and France is my jammy jamma. All right, I talked about my jammy jamma, right? World War II. I was just looking to see. I could go get my Normandy sand that I brought home from the beaches of Normandy, because this is my jammy jam. Like World War II, air combat, and Normandy. So this game has got to stand up to the test of time, or again, you're going to be punished for this. And fortunately, this game is an A+. It is great design. It makes it a manageable thing. It actually gives you 2 different scenarios. A shorter scenario if you want to just do like the first week, or if you want the whole jammy jam of what happened in 44, you can play that as well. So depending on what you want to do. It is not too many counters on the map. Historical units. There's not too much what we just talked about. Unnecessary. This unit can't, as the Germans, you have a couple rules. You can't do certain things on the first turn, and these units aren't allowed to come in until a certain date. That's probably about the only 2 rules you have to know. Everything else, fair game. Go to it. Which is what, Pursuit of Glory should have been. Hey, here's this. Go at it. Do this. But if you want to play it historically, add in all these optional rules. But it didn't do it that way, and that's why it's a C. And this is why Normandy 44 did it right, and it's an A+. Okay. Which ones did we... There's a bunch on here that we moved on the bottom of the list. World War II. Barbarossa to Berlin. I'm just going to bring this up so I can talk about this one. Where does this fall on the list? The Pantheon of best GMT games. Like, it is, in my opinion, one of the better card-driven game systems. But it is another one of those ones. The reason it's, held back is it is basically encompassing World War II, a 4-year war, or longer than 4-year war, that you have to simulate as a game. And when each side is playing 7 or 8 cards per turn, You're doing 8 turns. That's 56 actions, and it can drag. So I'm going to put it as B. I love this game. You know I talk about this game. Hidden gem. I would love to move it up, but I'm not going to. I'm going to be honest. I would leave it at B just because of the length and the complexity of it. There was one other Wing Leader. Let's see. Wing Leader. Again, my jammy jam. My jammy jam is Air Combat World War II. I am going to say this is high C, low B for me. Where does it fall? I'm going to say C. I own the Wing Leader. I own the Supremacy. I own every one of the expansions. I really wanted to love this system because I have everything for it. There's a ton of scenarios. You know what? Because there's a ton of scenarios and a ton of different... There's a ton of scenarios, right? But there is also an issue I have. An issue which is going to it's going to be a C. It's going even now I'm thinking about it. You guys know what I'm talking about. Is the fact that they skimped on some of the expansions, and instead of printing out those really nice data cards, they put them on plastic. Are you kidding me? Where was the decision on this? I'm going to give it a D. I'm going to give it a D for that. That was inexcusable to do that. You have 2 box games with great data cards, and you release an expansion, and you put them on plastic. That's ridiculous. I'm sorry. It was not acceptable, and you basically ruined a good game for me. Okay, Versailles. Now, Versailles is interesting. This is basically, again, kind of like back to Churchill, but World War I version of it, where the countries are trying to vie for the best part of the world after World War I is completed. I think this is a solid game. I haven't played it enough to really... I'm going to give it a C just because I don't know enough about it. I've only played it once or twice. It was fine. It wasn't memorable. It didn't stand out as like, oh, I need to play that again. It was fine. What else do we have? Did we cover everything that was on the list here? Have not played that. Have not played that. Some of these are copies from somebody else. I guess I should have started my own instead of copied somebody else's. All right. So that looks like about all. Let's just go to GMT really quickly and make sure. If I go to games and I go to all games, let's just look and see. I do own some of the ones on here that you won't see a list for are some of the ones I haven't played yet. I have 18 India, haven't played it yet. We just got in. Literally like an hour ago, I just went and got the box. Is Unhappy King Charles. What else? 1989. Have I played that? Is that on our list? That should be on our list. We played that game. Let's bring that one up. And if you guys out there are thinking about a GMT game, maybe for some reason I forgot to add it, let me know in the comments section down below. I have not a good math fun in games. I have not played Panzer, never played it. I own the game and all the expansions, which are for sale. And MBT, I've not played that one either, but those are two ones to for sure. Now this is a offshoot of the Twilight Struggle system, which you know I love. I put it in the S tier. I'm going to say 1989. Again, more is not necessarily better. They added some new factions you have to deal with in there, and each of the different spaces have different ways to interact with the factions, and it is a management nightmare, especially solo. 1989. I'm going to put it as C tier, to be honest. I think I'm going to put that as the C tier. Let's see. Let's review if there's any other games. MBT I've not played. I own Time for Trumpets, but I've never played it. A World at War, I played like one turn of that. Air Bridge to Victory, I played like one turn of that. Alesia, I've never played that. The Tri-Pack, I've never actually played any of the American Revolution games, so we don't have to worry about any of those. Oh, I know a game that's not on here. Why is it not on here? The space one. What's it called? The space one. The black box. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's right at like the tip of my tongue. Space Empires. I don't know why. Let's go look at Space Empires, because for some reason that's not on my list either. Space Empires 4X. All right. Oh, are they coming out with a new... Is this a new box art? Wow. They got new box art for the new edition coming out. That's interesting. First time I've seen that. I like it. I like it. So this is Space Empires. I'm going to say that's an A game. You know what? No, I'm going to... A or B. A or B. A or B. Now, I'm going to make it a B game, actually. Now, I was giving it a better... Like, I was going to give it an A credit because it has all those nice expansions and everything for it. But the base game, solo, only has one scenario. So if you're going to play as solo, you have to do, like, the... against the space bases that come into play, which is fine. It is a lot of spreadsheet work that you got to try to figure out. It's a great little game, but I don't think I would make it an A. I don't think I would make it an A. Let's see what else. Empire of the Sun, I own. I don't remember ever playing it, though. Enemy Coast, never played. Let's see what else we have. Fields of Fire. Fire in the Lake. Flashpoint South China Sea, I don't own. Fort Sumter, never played. Gallipoli, 1915, never played. Great Battles of Julius Caesar, I own but never played. Holland 44, own but never played. It's on my... Like, literally... Oh, no, it was France 40 that I was going to open up. It was France 40 I was going to open up. But I don't know. I own France, but never played that one either. Illusions of Glory. Actually, I played that. It's been a long time. That's all right. I'm not going to add that. Anyways, Space Core, we did Space Core earlier. I put that as that was one of these. That was one of the earlier games. Didn't we talk about Space Core? I think we talked about Space Core, didn't we? Where's Space Core? Right here. Space Core. It's a B tier. Space Core is a B tier. Silent Victory. The only Hunters games that I played or Hunters series is the Hunted and the Hunters. So I haven't played Silent Victory, and I didn't do the other one, the Mediterranean one. I haven't done either one of those. Beneath the Mid, so I didn't rate that one either. GMT has a ton of great games. Yeah, I agree. Again, the reason most of my games come from GMT is because they're usually a little bit better than normal. Like if you see like my bell curve is B. Like B is my these are really good games, but there's they're not the best games, but they're really good games. There's how many in there? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. There's 20. For C tier, there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. And for A tier, there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So very, very bell curvy. But for my bell curve, instead of C, my bell curve is B. And that's why I like GMT, because most of the games they produce, I love the quality, I love the components, I love the theme, I love how much you get for it. I love the different designs that they're coming up with. Maneuver is obviously a very different kind of game than, Dominant Species. Battle of the Bulls. Like every one of these games is not just a cookie cutter of the same game. Like Churchill. So here's a great example. Alien Abyss, Churchill, and Dominant Species. Like those three games have absolutely nothing involved with one another. Like, is there anything that those three games have in common? Like, Alien Abyss, Churchill, and Dominant Species have like nothing. Like, this is why I like GMT, because they decide to create games that are just not the same hex and counter. Throw a bunch of counters on the hexes and roll some dice and look at some charts. A lot of other war game companies think that is the way to make war games, and it's not. It is absolutely not. You can see by the list that GMT has created. So the S games, Command & Color Ancients, Combat Commander, Twilight Struggle, and Command & Color Napoleonics. Do I feel good about any? Do I want to move anything up or down the list? Do I? Let's see. Are there any of the B games that need to go up or down is the question. I'm going to take Devil Horseman and I'm going to put it down into the C. Just because, again, it's been a long time since I played that game. I don't have enough recollection of what was going on in the game, how to play it, or anything like that. So I'm going to put it in C as, not because it's a bad game, it's just because I don't remember. It's been a long time since I played that game. I remember having a good time with it, but that was, 25 years ago. It's been a long time since I played that game. So I don't feel comfortable putting it in B without, being more familiar with it. The same thing, I'm going to say the exact same thing about Rebel Fury. Like, I'm going to give it a normal C average, not because of the game. I played once with my buddy. I just don't feel comfortable putting it in a B tier, an above average, with only playing it once. I have to play it a couple times. So I'm going to knock down Vijay Anagara. I'm going to knock down The Last 100 Yards. I want B to be a little bit more. I want B to be These games are just a step up. These are a step up from just your average war game. These are the next level up. And again, a lot of these in C tier is because I haven't played them enough. I don't know enough about them. It's been a long time since I played them. Or the theme just doesn't do it for me. Or I'm just not into what the game is trying to do, or the game is too long, or whatever. S is the best of the best. This is, without a doubt, these are some of the best games of all time. Top 50 games of all time. Command & Color Ancients, Comet Commander, Twilight Struggle, Command & Color Napoleonics. These are the best of the best. These are games I would play at any time with anybody. They are all-time classics. These are games that I would highly recommend every single person get, and I would highly recommend you play every one of those games. A+, are, excuse me. Hang on just a second. A+, the only difference between S and A, right? There's A+. A+ games would go up here into S tier if there wasn't one thing wrong with them. Like, Paths of Glory would be an S tier game, except for it's just such a long game. If you can't commit to 8 to 10 hours, it's too long. There's no short scenario. There's no 2-hour scenario or anything like that, right? So the A+ tier is, these are games that would be an S tier, except for one thing is holding them back. Then A tier are excellent games that have one fundamental issue with them that keeps them out of being the best of the best. These are games that are awesome games, hugely great games, that just either are too long or don't have enough for the solo player or something like that that's keeping them out of becoming, higher ranked. For example, A Distant Plane, like one of the best coin games out there, but it's just it doesn't have the solo mod. It does have a solo built into the game, but it doesn't have an easy solo mode. Hopefully it's coming sometime soon. But it does, it deals with 4 different factions that make the game stand out. It's got events in history that I can relate to and I was involved with. So I do have a personal connection with it. So again, all these lists are subjective. You can, if you want to do your own list, feel free. Send me a link. I will more than happily send other people to check out your list. If you disagree with my list, I'd be more than happy to have you send me your list, and I will publish it and let people know where to find your list. It's just, I thought it was time to show people what I love GMT. I don't love everything they do, obviously. There are some bad decisions they make. They don't obviously authorize everything through me, even though they should. They should authorize everything through me, and they would be a lot better off. But there are a lot of great games. As you can see, most of the games from GMT I'm very happy with. There are a lot of that I am just, C tier, which is fine. There's nothing wrong. I need to play it more. I need to learn more of the game. I need to play it, engage with it more. And then there's some duds. For me, unfortunately, these are the duds. Atlantic Chase, a reason, again, I found nothing interesting in the game whatsoever for both sides of the players. You have one player that's doing with Bismarck, who you would think that would be interesting, but it's not interesting at all. Not interesting at all as the Bismarck player. I find it extremely boring. I think that possibly if I played through the solo scenarios, I played more multiplayer, maybe it would go back up the list. I don't know. I don't find this game or this game system engaging or interesting at all. Fields of Fire, same exact reason it's in the teen tier. It is a great game with awesome realism that is way, way out of my league in understanding concepts and understanding of how to progress in a battlefield situation. It is way too involved for me, and it's not explained in the rules. Again, this isn't based upon the rules that are coming out next month. This is not based upon the new game that's being released. This is about the game Fields of Fire as it was released by GMT. That's why it's on this list. I have a feeling that this, of all the games on this list, this will probably go up to B once they release a decent rule book with decent explanation on how to play and give examples of play and, give you a book that you can understand how to do things with. I've set this up on my table several times, and every time I get to the point where I'm ready to go and I say, nope, not doing it. It's just not Atlantic Nap. There you go. That's a great name for the Atlantic Chase. It's like as the Bismarck player, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to move from here to here. And now the English player, they get to do all the fun things. They get to build the chain and try to figure out where I'm at. And they get to do all this stuff while I'm busy taking a nap. It's just not good game design, in my opinion. Wing Leader, again, this should be higher on the list. But the components that they decided to put out for that game, and it's a very simplistic game. Even if they had all the data cards on wood components like they should have, and even if they would have done that, the game probably still would have only been a C tier. It's a very abstract, and I'm talking very abstract, game of air combat. And you guys know my jammy jam is Normandy and World War II aircraft combat. I thought having a great, easy game to learn how to play would be awesome. It's fine, but it's just, like I said, if the components and everything weren't a problem, it'd still only be average game. And because of the components, I'm knocking it down to a D tier. And of course, we've talked about Banish the Snakes. It is, again, in my opinion, the worst game design that GMT has done. You don't give players a choice. You force the decisions upon them. And basically, the game plays itself, and all you're doing is flipping cards. And there's nothing you can do as a player to get the outcome. Doesn't matter. Does not matter a bit. Go watch my review. I go into length and detail about why this is bad game design. GMT should never produce this game at all. My copy is for sale if somebody wants it. Anyways, that is a look at my list of GMT games that I have played. There's still 5 or 6 that I need to get around and play. There is still a lot that I should go back and double check and play. Again, some of these will go up the list. The more, we talked about this at the beginning if you're just joining us, the more you play a game, right? The more you play a game, the more you understand about the game. The more you learn about the game, and the more you can sit back and enjoy the game and not worry about the mechanics because you've already learned the game. When I played Rebel Fury with my buddy last week, it was a great game, but I was thinking about mechanics. I was thinking about goals. I was not interested in, or I was not involved in the game and understanding the game because I was worried about the mechanics and worried about +1, +2. What am I going to do? How am I going to shoot this, that, and the other thing? Once you understand a game and you get by the mechanics, you can understand and learn it more. A lot of these games will go up because you'll enjoy games more. I played Combat Commander. We talked about this a long time ago. I played Combat Commander myself more than 50 times. Probably closer to 100 times. I've played Combat Commander a lot. So I am way past learning mechanics. I'm way past learning how things do things on the map and how things operate and, all that. I can now enjoy understanding the process and look at the magistrate of how everything works together. And I can now sit back and enjoy the feel of how the game, I'm not looking through the rule book every 5 minutes, looking up rules. I'm not trying to figure out what's this number on this counter means. All that takes away from a game. So once you understand a game, you enjoy it more because you are more familiar with it. You get to invest more of yourself into the game instead of worrying about the game and the mechanics and stuff. I'm sure, without a doubt, every single game on my list here would be up another notch if I played it some more. Tank Duel would be up higher on my list if I played it more because I would have learned more of the game. I would understand more of the game. I'd be more involved in what's going on than worrying about mechanics and stuff. Same thing with Storm Above the Reich. So technically, games on the list are going to be lower the less you play them. That's just the way it is. Unless, of course, theme doesn't work for you or some of the mechanics don't work for you. Those games are going to get knocked down the list. Hence, we have Atlantic Chase. Most games are very rewarding when you invest the time to learn them. Most games are. Absolutely. And I'm saying every one of these games, like Gandhi, again, just because it's a C tier game because I have no history with that time and period of history. I don't know anything about it. I don't know the events. I don't recall the events. They just don't. They don't. Not that they don't matter to me. They just don't resonate with me. I'm not interesting. I'm interested in the history of it, but I'm not like. It's not my jam. If that makes sense. Like, I understand what happened. I understand the concepts. I don't know when I play card XYZ, the Mambu Riots. Like, some players might go, oh my God, this is the Mambu Riots. And for me, it's like, what is this card? I'm playing this card because it's a +2. That's why I'm playing this card. That's the difference, right? Is you play the card because it's thematically involved in that card and you understand the importance of this card. Or there's a player like me who plays the card because, I can get a +2 to my dice roll because I'm playing this card. That's the difference of knowing the game and understanding the game. If that makes sense to you, you know why some of these games are on the list the way they are. If it doesn't make sense to you, go back and watch from the beginning and start all over again and do this until you understand. Thanks for watching. We'll see you all next time. Until then, my friends, take care of yourselves and we'll see you all down the line. Bye for now.